Brad Poole here, new market director for Encore Networks. This video series is going to cover the basics of using EN Cloud, and it'll also apply to EN Site, the localized version of EN Cloud. We're going to cover such things as where to begin, how to organize devices, and how to set up data plans. These videos are meant to assist users in setting up their instance of EN Cloud and are a supplement to any hands-on training from Encore Networks. For questions about the videos or EN Cloud in general, visit our webpage at www.encorenetworks.com or call our support line at 703-318-4350. The first video is our Getting Started video, and we'll be covering the following. 1. Setting up your company in the structure of EN Cloud. 2. Assigning devices to the different tiers. 3. Subscriptions and how they work. And 4. Activating a device for use on EN Cloud. When you first log into EN Cloud, you'll land on the Tier 1 VAR page. You should see the name of your company here. For the purposes of this video, we'll use Sample VAR. The top tier is called the VAR level because it's generally used by value-added resellers. Value-added resellers, or VARs, usually administer devices for many different customers. And that's why we have called the second level the customer tier. There are 2 sample customers already set up, but when you log in for the first time, this will be empty. I'll walk you through adding customers in just a moment, but for now, let's move on to Tier 3 by clicking on the sample customers already here. The next tier is Group Tier, and the customers use deployment groups to organize their devices by geography, team, or another meaningful arrangement. There's one sample group already here, but again, none will be present when you first get started. Devices must be added to each of the 3 tiers and activated before they can be used with EN Cloud. To add new customers and groups, return to Tier 1 and click on the Tier 2 tab. Then click the Add New Tier 2 button on the right side. This will ask you for the name of the customer as well as other pertinent info about them. It's possible to add a custom logo file to better identify your customer. It's also possible to add supporting details, although this is optional. Click Add Tier 2 Customer, and the newly created customer will appear in the customer list. You can then click the newly created customer, and this will take you to the customer level where you can create a new group. Click the Add New Tier 3 button to add the new group. You've now created a Tier 2 customer and a Tier 3 group. Now you can go back to Tier 1 and begin assigning devices to them. Try that. You've now created a Tier 2 customer and a Tier 3 group. Now you can go back to the first tier and begin assigning devices to them by browsing to the Tier 1 device list. Click the Add New Tier 3 button to add the new group. When the dialog comes up, just put in the new name for now. Then scroll down and click Add New Group. We'll go over the other settings in this section in another video. Devices must be added to each tier before they can be activated on EN Cloud. Activating a device on EN Cloud allows the device to report data to EN Cloud and makes data visible to users. Before a device can be activated, a subscription must be assigned to the device. And to start the activation process and to assign devices to different tiers, go back to Tier 1 and then click that Devices tab. EN Cloud devices are generally added to EN Cloud when they leave the factory. For Insight, though, the Insight administrator will have to add devices manually using either the Add Single Device or Add Bulk Device buttons. Adding devices manually will be the subject of a different video. For now, we'll just use the existing devices that have been preloaded here. It's important to understand how subscriptions work in EN Cloud. Subscriptions are for a particular time period, 1, 2, 3, or even 5 years, and the subscriptions are stored in the billing section of Tier 1. Here you can see the number of each subscription type you have available. Subscriptions are added to your subscription bank when you purchase them from Encore or from a supplier. For Insight users, the subscription bank is pre-populated with 10,000 10-year subscriptions at the time of installation. Subscriptions are assigned to a device when you add the device to a customer, meaning they come out of your bank and are assigned to a device at that time. However, the clock doesn't start ticking until the device checks into EnCloud for the first time. That's when the device is actually active on EnCloud. I'll demonstrate this in a minute. It's also important to understand that a subscription is permanently associated with the device you assign it to. You can't move subscriptions from one device to another. The only exception to this rule is in the instance of an RMA, which requires Encore support to be involved. The first step to activating a device is to assign a device to a customer. To do this, return to the Tier 1 device list by clicking the Devices tab. Then select the device you want to assign and click Actions, and then Assign to Tier 2. This brings up the Customer Assignment dialog box and asks the user to select a subscription or a class of service and to agree to the terms of use for EnCloud. The subscription links displayed match what we just saw in the subscription bank. The user must select one of these subscription levels to continue. For the purposes of our demo, we're going to use a 30-day demo subscription. After you've selected your subscription and agreed with the terms and conditions, you assign the unit to the customer. This is where the subscription comes out of the bank and is then applied to the device. You'll see that the device is now assigned to customer. You'll see that the device is now assigned to the customer we created earlier and has a 30-day demo class of service. To assign the device to a third tier, you can select Actions and then Assign to Tier 3 group. However, if there's no existing Tier 3, then you must enter the customer level and create one before you can assign a device to it. Now, you see the device is assigned to all 3 tiers and has a class of service, but the subscription end date is not populated. This is because the device isn't yet active. The clock on a 30-day subscription doesn't start ticking until the device is active. To activate a device, click Actions and then Activate. This will change the state field from passive to waiting for response. This means the cloud is now listening for the device to check in. The state will change to registered when the device checks in. By default, Encore devices check into EnCloud every time they're rebooted, and if they see that they don't have a valid EnCloud subscription, they'll check in every 8 hours to see if they have a valid subscription. If they find that they do have a valid subscription, they'll check in by default every 5 minutes. Check-in frequency can be changed on the device itself or through EnCloud. This state will change to registered when the device checks in, and the device is then considered active. By default, Encore devices check into the EnCloud every time they're rebooted, and if they see that they don't have a valid EnCloud subscription, they'll then default to checking in every 8 hours. If they do find that they have a valid subscription, they'll then check in every 5 minutes by default. Checking in frequency can be changed on the device itself or through EnCloud. When the device checks into EnCloud, the state will change to registered, and the online status will change to a green check. Then the subscription end date will be populated. The device will continue to check in for the duration of the subscription as long as the device has access to the internet through either the WAN or cellular connection. It's also possible to assign multiple devices at once to a customer by using the checkboxes and the Actions for Selected Devices button. This can save you some time for large deployments. This has been the Getting Started video for EnCloud and EnSite. We covered setting up your company and the structure of EnCloud, assigning devices to the different tiers, subscriptions and their links, and activating a device for use on EnCloud. In the next video, we'll cover how to add devices to EnCloud manually using the Add Single or Add Multiple Device buttons. We hope this has been helpful, and for more information about EnCloud, see the next video in this series or visit our webpage at EncoreNetworks.com.